everyone, I am Dr. Ankita Saha. Today we will discuss about the cerebral hemisphere. This is the viscera of brain which consists of cerebrum, cerebellum and part of hindbrain. The cerebrum, if we look from above, it looks ovoid in shape. The largest diameter is along the parietal tuberosity. This cerebrum is subdivided by a median longitudinal fissure which is an incomplete fissure into two cerebral hemispheres. This median longitudinal fissure in the midline connected by the corpus callosum. So, if we look at the hemisection, like I am showing you here, this is the hemisection, this is the corpus callosum which is the collection of largest commissural fibers. It connects both the cerebral hemisphere in the midline. The cerebrum is covered by meninges which consist of from outside inward dura mater, arachnoid matter and pia mater. The total surface area is 2200 square meter. To accommodate this surface area within the rigid cranial cavity, the surface has many elevations and depressions. 1/3 is seen along the elevation and 2/3 is within the depressions known as sulci. The elevations are known as gyri. If we look at the coverings, we can see the outside dura mater has been removed. This is some portion of the arachnoid matter. This arachnoid matter jumps from one gyri to another and is absent in the sulci. And rest, here we can see the clear, this is covered by the pia mater. Now, let us see the hemisphere separately. The hemisphere consists of three poles. This is the frontal pole, this is temporal pole and this is the occipital pole. Characteristic of frontal and temporal pole is that it is rounded. Characteristic of occipital pole, it is pointed. The frontal pole is supplied by anterior cerebral artery, temporal pole by middle cerebral artery and occipital pole by posterior cerebral artery. Now, let us come to the surfaces. This is superolateral surface which is convex. This flat surface is the medial surface characterized by the presence of corpus callosum. Below there is the inferior surface. This inferior surface is subdivided by the stem of lateral sulcus into orbital surface in front, tentorial surface behind. So, this surface is the tentorial surface and this is the orbital surface. Now, let us come to the borders. The superolateral surface and medial surface is divided by the superomedial border which extends from frontal to occipital pole. The medial surface is subdivided from the inferior surface by inferomedial border. This inferomedial border frontal part is known as the medial orbital border, posterior part medial occipital border. The inferior surface is subdivided from the superolateral surface by the inferolateral border. Now, this inferolateral border in front of the stem of the lateral sulcus, this one is known as the superciliary border. Another characteristic of this inferolateral border is that in front of the occipital pole around 5 centimeter there is a notch, this is known as preoccipital notch. So, this was regarding the basic characteristic. Now, each hemisphere has got lobes. For the lobe division, there are some important sulci. Most important one is the central sulcus. The central sulcus is situated just behind the midpoint between the frontal pole and occipital pole. Just behind it, this is the central sulcus. It is a limiting sulcus, and this central sulcus, in front of it there is the motor, and behind it is the sensory cortex. It is extending downward and laterally, and also it extends medially from the superomedial margin. Another important sulcus is the lateral sulcus. The lateral sulcus begins from the inferior surface. This is the stem of the lateral sulcus. When the stem of lateral sulcus reaches the inferolateral margin, there is a Sylvian point from which it gives rise to 3 rami. This is the anterior horizontal, anterior ascending, and this is the posterior ramus. The posterior ramus has a upturned end. Now, for the division in the superolateral surface, there is an important sulcus which is known as parieto-occipital sulcus. The parieto-occipital sulcus is more prominent on the medial surface. On the superolateral surface, around 5 centimeter above the occipital pole, we can see part of parieto-occipital sulcus, and below there was the preoccipital notch. So, connecting them from parieto-occipital sulcus to preoccipital notch, we connect a vertical line, that is the first imaginary line. So, this is the parieto-occipital sulcus, this is the preoccipital notch, this is the first imaginary line. Second imaginary line, from the posterior ramus before the starting of its upturned end, if we draw up to the first imaginary line, that is the second imaginary line. Now, how the lobes are subdivided in the superolateral surface? First, coming to the frontal lobe, it is lying in front of the central sulcus and above the posterior ramus of lateral sulcus. Coming to parietal lobe, it is behind the central sulcus and in front of the first imaginary line. Above there is a superomedial margin, below posterior ramus of lateral sulcus and second imaginary line. Occipital lobe is behind the first imaginary line and temporal lobe is below the posterior ramus of lateral sulcus and second imaginary line. So, what are the lobes we are getting here? Frontal, parietal, occipital and temporal. Along with this, there are other important sulci and gyri. Before I go there, let us see some of the other lobes. One lobe, if I am making the leaves of the posterior ramus apart, we can see a submerged lobe, this is the insula. There is another limbic lobe which can be appreciated from the medial surface. In the medial surface, just above the and parallel to the corpus callosum, there is the cingulate sulcus. So, upper end cingulate sulcus and lower there is the calcarine sulcus. This is the calcarine sulcus. So, area in between them is the limbic lobe. Now, let us come to the other important sulci and gyri. Starting from the frontal lobe on the superolateral surface, this is the central sulcus. In front of the central sulcus, there is a precentral sulcus. In between them, there is a precentral gyri. From the precentral sulcus, anteriorly there goes two sulci. This is the superior frontal sulci. This is the inferior frontal sulcus. Now, coming to the gyri. In between the central and precentral, there is a precentral gyrus. This superior and inferior frontal sulci subdivide the frontal lobe into the gyri, superior frontal gyri, medial frontal gyri and inferior frontal gyri. In the inferior frontal gyri, the anterior horizontal rami and anterior ascending rami of lateral sulcus is present. Area beneath the anterior horizontal is pars orbitalis. Area between the anterior horizontal and anterior ascending pars triangularis, and area posterior to it, this is the pars opercularis. Now, let us come to the temporal. In temporal lobe, there is the superior temporal sulci, inferior temporal sulcus. In between them, there is a superior, middle and inferior temporal gyri. Now, the posterior ramus upturned end goes above, and also the superior temporal gyri extends up to the parietal lobe. So, let us discuss the parietal lobe here first. This is the central sulcus. Behind the central sulcus, there is the post-central sulcus. In between them, the post-central gyrus. This is the intraparietal sulcus, subdividing it into superior parietal lobule, inferior parietal lobule. Now, this is the upturned end of the posterior ramus. We will get here supramarginal gyrus, and upturned end of superior temporal gyrus, we will get the angular gyrus. This both gyri, the supramarginal and the angular, belongs to the inferior parietal lobule. Now, let us come to the occipital lobe. In the occipital lobe, we can see here, this is the some portion of the calcarine sulcus coming here in the or near the occipital pole. This is the some portion of the calcarine sulcus, and this is the lunate sulcus. The lunate sulcus is operculated sulcus, the calcarine sulcus is axial sulcus, and the central sulcus is limiting sulcus. Around the calcarine sulcus, we will get the visual striate area, area 17. Then we have peristriate and parastriate area. Let us first discuss the functional areas on the superolateral surface. In front of the central sulcus, in the precentral sulcus, there is motor area, Brodmann area number 4. In front of precentral sulcus, in the posterior part of superior, middle and inferior frontal gyri, there is area number 6, and in the posterior part of middle frontal gyri, in front of area number 6, there is area number 8, and rest is the prefrontal cortex. Important area, that is Broca's motor speech area, is present in the inferior frontal gyrus. In between the anterior ascending and anterior horizontal, there is area number 44, and behind is area number 45. This is the motor speech area number 44 and 45. Next, coming to the temporal. In temporal, the posterior ramus floor and the upper surface of the superior temporal gyrus, this belongs to the auditory area. It is known as Hess's gyrus, which includes area number 41. Surrounding it is area number 22, which is known as Wernicke's area. Coming to the parietal, in the parietal, this is the intraparietal, this is the superior parietal lobule. In the superior parietal lobule, there is area number 5 and 7, and in between the central sulcus and post-central sulcus, there is the post-central gyrus. This is the area number 312, which is the sensory area, and area number 5, 7 are the sensory association area. Important area in the inferior parietal lobule, in the supramarginal gyrus, area number 40 and angular gyrus area number 39. So, area 22, area 40 and 39 belongs to sensory speech area. Let us come to the occipital. Surrounding the calcarine, there is the striate area, area number 17, then surrounding it area number 18 and 19. This is the visual area. Now, let us come to the medial surface. In the medial surface, surrounding the corpus callosum is the callosal sulcus. Then there is the cingulate sulcus. This cingulate sulcus is running parallel to it, and this is the upturned end of cingulate sulcus. Cingulate sulcus and callosal sulcus, in between them there is a cingulate gyrus. Above it there is a vertical sulcus which subdivides the area above it into the medial frontal gyrus and paracentral lobule. This paracentral lobule is very much important because it is the cortical center of micturition and defecation. The paracentral lobule boundary, in front there is the vertical sulcus, this is the vertical sulcus, behind there is the upturned end of cingulate sulcus, below cingulate sulcus, and above there is the superomedial border. This paracentral lobule is subdivided by the medial extension of central sulcus into anterior part and posterior part. Anterior is motor and posterior is sensory. The other important sulcus here, this is the parieto-occipital sulcus and this is the calcarine sulcus. The calcarine sulcus posterior part is a complete sulcus which forms calcar avis in the posterior horn of lateral ventricle. In between the calcarine sulcus and parieto-occipital sulcus is the cuneus. Below the calcarine sulcus, lingual gyrus, and above the parieto-occipital and between the paracentral lobule and parieto-occipital sulcus, this is the precuneus gyrus. That was regarding the medial surface. Now, let us come to the inferior surface. In the inferior surface, it is subdivided by the stem of lateral sulcus into orbital and tentorial surface. The orbital surface has the olfactory sulcus which contains the olfactory tract and bulb. This is the olfactory tract. Lateral to it there is a A-shaped orbital sulcus subdividing this area into anterior, posterior, medial and lateral orbital surface. Now, let us come to the tentorial surface. The tentorial surface medially has the collateral sulcus which is a complete sulcus and the occipitotemporal sulcus. From lateral to medial we will get the lateral occipitotemporal gyrus, then there is the medial occipitotemporal gyrus and this is the parahippocampus. Parahippocampus makes the upturned end in front, this is the uncus which is the area for olfaction. So, that was all regarding the cerebral hemisphere. Thank you.